Recording has begun.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My name is Shahzad Hussain and I live at 20 Primary Way in Undercliff. And today is Sunday, the 3rd of December 2023. It's quite lovely out here today, and it's nice and snowing. So today is, I think, 117 days. Let me just see what, I think 117 days since, yeah, I lose track of time sometimes. Let's just take a walk in the snow. First time walking in the snow. Snowy day. It's cold outside, isn't it beautiful? Snow makes everything look quite festive, and yeah, it's quite really nice. Really nice. So today is 117 days since my brother's been kidnapped by the state, by Bradford Council through the commissioning of West Yorkshire Police, who came down on the 8th of August 2023, and 117 days later today, I have absolutely no idea where he is, what kind of conditions they're holding him under. He's clearly been detained falsely, been detained falsely, and have been held against his will for the last 117 days. And I'm ringing them up every single day, asking them to tell me where he is, and they're just simply refusing to engage with me now. Well, they simply just won't tell me. And so what happens is that when you have a trauma like this, people just end up getting stuck in time, and that's what's happened. We're just stuck in time, and as a result of this trauma that we've suffered, that both me and my brother have suffered. But this is just a latest version of the latest time that we've suffered a trauma. We've been suffering trauma for such a long time, under so many different traumas that we've suffered. This is only the latest event of an ongoing saga that's resulted in trauma after trauma after trauma, deliberately inflicted on us by the local authority. Why? I would like to say it's because we're Asian, Muslims. I think that's only partly the answer. The reality is because there's a funding crisis, it's not even a funding crisis, because this situation goes back many years. It's not done just today or yesterday. It's been ongoing now for the last 30 years or so. 30 years since 1992, or even going back to 40 years. 1983 is when it started, and it's all to do with mental health. You know, my oldest brother Nazim, suffered from a mental health trauma in 1983, and it was as a result of it's just quite a really sad story. I think the first trauma that he suffered from was that he lost his child at childbirth. So he had his firstborn was born. He was in hospital and she died, and he didn't know how to cope with that death. And the doctors at the time cremated his child without his full permission. And as a result of that death, he was never the same. That was the first trauma that he suffered. And then in 1983, his second child, there were concerns that she may have died too, but she survived. And that second trauma took him over the edge. And since 1983, both him and our family, have been known to the authorities, because he never recovered from that. He never really recovered from that second trauma. Then in 1992, his wife died of cancer, and that was quite traumatic, because as a consequence of his wife dying of trauma, the local authority came involved and effectively kidnapped all his children and assisted them to go. Well, it was a long story, but they were taken away from both Nazim and the family, and that was the second trauma. And then obviously it was just trauma after trauma. Father had dementia. He was living on his own. The local authority would not help him. They were neglecting him in the community. We didn't understand at the time what dementia was, because he was just becoming very forgetful and angry and stuff. And I intervened in 2002, because when I went to see my father, who was living on his own at the time, he left the gas on, and I just thought, this is a travesty waiting to happen. He's going to end up dying, because he just keeps on forgetting and leaving the gas cooker on. and leaving the gas on in the room. The kitchen was full of gas, and as a result I intervened, and as a consequence of me intervening, the authorities got involved, and they just didn't like that because they were setting him up to die, because they wanted they just refused to help. And I think we're suffering traumas over the last 30 years or so is because the local authority want to save on money. They want to save on money that they're supposed to be spending on the elderly and the disabled, especially with people with mental health problems, and they choose not to. They just choose to scam them. So because they are not spending the money that they have received, and that they have a duty of care to those individuals that are weak, vulnerable, and disabled in society, particularly people adults with mental health problems. Because they don't choose to respond with that, they say it's just too expensive, we're just going to cut back corners, we're just going to we're just going to keep the money, and we're going to use that money to fill in deficit holes in other areas, particularly maybe in children care services, but they've clearly failed in childcare services. So as a result of this, they have we suffer while the local authority looks to save money, and it's just one trauma after the next. And so when I've come along and I've tried to act as a representative for the very people that the local authority are meant to be safeguarding and protecting, and them realizing the fact that I'm an educated person, and an articulated person, and a determined person, they've been targeting me. So they first targeted me in December 2002. So that was nearly, 21 years ago. That was when I was first targeted on the allegations of I was physically abusing the people in my care. That all fell apart because it was just a fraudulent setup. I was arrested, I think, on the 23rd or the 24th of December 2002, and by January the case had to be dropped because my sister, who was then thought to be the victim of the domestic abuse, was going to be my witness. So it all fell away then, and then subsequently I've been working with the authorities. My other sister ran away because she didn't want to handle that. She was just being bought off by the state. They knew she was embezzling my father's money, and when she got caught, she ran away. That was another trauma that the family suffered. And then as a consequence of me being arrested, I looked to instigate litigation action against West Yorkshire Police, and as a consequence, my brother Nazim was thrown off a 3-story building. So basically, he was thrown off a building, and can you see that height? The height of that building, he fell onto the floor. He was thrown off the building, and then became a paraplegic for the next 10 years of his life. So that was 2003. By 2014, when they come around, they attempted to kill him off and tried to frame me for his death. That's another trauma. That was a big trauma for my brother being murdered by the state and looking to frame me for it. Then they sent me to prison under false flag fraud charges. That was another trauma, having to go to prison, my family being abandoned. And then I've come back from prison, caring for the very victims of my criminality. And the local authority have been hounding me ever since, from 2017 onwards. 2018, they put the poker on me, took away all my money. 2019, they instigated court of protection proceedings, because my mother had given her lasting power of attorney to me. 2019, my brother gave me his lasting power of attorney, thus undermining the their criminal conviction. And then from 2019 to 2020, they've been trying to target my mother, abandoning my brother. And then in 2021, we were at the height of the pandemic. We were made homeless, kicked out of the house. 2022, mother died, we returned home. They've now instigated the county court proceedings to have us evicted from the house. And then now in August 2023, they've kidnapped my brother. So it's like 30 years of what I can remember of trauma, of one attack after another attack after another attack, all because they want to save on money and profit here from our misery, and look to rip this family apart and exploit us while they sit in the backgrounds like evil, villainous criminals, hiding behind the corporate veil and maintaining a facade of respectability and benevolence as a local authority, looking to safeguard elderly and the vulnerable, when the reality is that they are exploiting the elderly and the vulnerable to make money and financial gain from them. So this is the reality of the situation, and yet they feed the world the rhetoric of Well, this is very interesting. This guy's got front wheel drive. He's not going to be able to get up out of this. Front wheel drive is really difficult to get out of here. He's stuck now. So let's look at this. This guy is now going to be stuck with his front wheel drive. He's going to be stuck in the snow. Well, this is kind of interesting. Some sort of spectacle now. It's a spectacle, isn't it? Spectacle. I want to help this guy. What should I do to help him? If he comes out of the car, I'll tell him, look, reverse it all the way up. Because he has front wheel drive. And it's not going to work. But he's stuck now. Well, we'll see what happens. But while we're looking at this spectacle of this guy being stuck in the snow, because it's a silly idea coming in the snow, isn't it? It's like it's cold and wet outside, and you're coming out in the snow. Everybody gets stuck. Look, if you look there, if you look over there, somebody crashed into the wall because it came in so fast. We had a spectacle. But as I was saying, you know, me and the family have suffered so much trauma, and as a result of state agents coming down and harassing us and victimizing us and looking to make us an easy scapegoat for their failures, so now it's 117 days. I have no idea what my brother is, what kind of conditions they're holding him under, what his health is like, what his well-being is like. I'm his next of kin, the nearest relative. I'm his everything, and he's chosen to make me. They're chosen to simply ignore me, and this is exactly what they did in my mother's case. This is just pure racism and xenophobia and Islamophobia and just basically tyranny that they're committing against us, because they know the fact that they're failing to do what they're supposed to be doing, and as a consequence, they are making me an easy scapegoat. But anyway, I think we'll leave it there. I don't need to be jabbering on anymore. So today is the 3rd of December 2023, and I'm about to finish off there. So Allah Hafiz.